Hey, folks. Welcome to the KickAss Political Podcast. I'm your host, Big Daddy Brasto, and today is December 11th, 2024. In this show, we provide a subjective perspective, and today it'll be regarding political events, hypocrisy of politicians, and all of the fuckery within the mainstream media and political establishment. We're going to dive into a topic that's got the mainstream media exploding and political parties mudslinging. From the usual tantrums on the left to fist pumps and ass slaps on the right, it's time to take a bite out of this shit show burrito. So let's get into it. All right, so here's the headline that's making the news. President-elect Trump has officially gone on the record and is promising mass pardons for January 6 defendants. Yes, you heard that right. The so-called J6ers are getting their cases reviewed, and the left is, well, losing their shit. At this point, Trump's pledge is to take action on day one of his presidency. Not day two, not day three, not week two, week three, so on and so forth, on day one. Trump said, these people have suffered enough. But of course, the mainstream media is not able to comprehend such a statement, and running around saying, how could he? Is this the end of democracy? I mean, really, did we not just see the pardons issued by President Biden for Hunter Biden, who was convicted of federal gun crimes and tax evasion and was just about to go up for sentencing? I think tomorrow is when it was actually originally scheduled for. Anyhow, let's unpack this. For starters, a big chunk of these defendants were charged under a law from the Enron era. For those of you old enough to know, Enron was a corporation that got caught committing some major scandalous fraud. And this is where billionaires had shredded documents faster than I can shred the political mailers that I get this time of year. The law wasn't meant to target protesters. In fact, the Supreme Court even recently said so, which is great. I'm going to show you a clip of that right here. So, if the law doesn't fit, what's going to happen next? Well, cue Trump's first 100 days promise. And suddenly, the legal house of cards that's built by the Department of Justice, So, if the law doesn't fit, what happens next? Cue Trump's first 100 days promise, and suddenly the legal house of cards built by Biden's Department of Justice is looking shaky. But don't take my word for it. Let's see how both sides are reacting. Now here's where the plot thickens. The left's outrage over pardons for peaceful January 6 protesters is almost laughable. I mean, seriously, compared to the 2020, quote, mostly peaceful protests. And tell me what you really think. And, remember that time when cities were burning and businesses were looted and activists were bailed out faster than you can say defund the police? Yeah, me too. But now, when it's the middle-class Americans facing disproportionate sentencing, suddenly they're public enemy number one. It's like hypocrisy has become a national pastime. Can someone get these folks a medal for their actmanship or whatever you would call it? This isn't just about pardons. It's about fairness, folks. The system is supposed to be neutral, scales of justice, blind, not impartial, not a weapon for political retribution. And, let's be real. Treating peaceful protesters like hardened criminals does nothing to protect democracy. In fact, it undermines it. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure within that crowd, there were people who did some really horrible things. And I'll say this repeatedly. Those people who committed crimes that, warranted charges for assault, battery, breaking and entering, yeah, they should face the music and go through the court system as would anybody else for committing the same crimes in any other set of circumstances. And even then, a lot of charges would have been reduced to disorderly conduct, paying fines to the city, but definitely wouldn't have resulted in years of imprisonment. I mean, For the people I know who have been through the justice system with far worse accusations or charges being filed against them, um, they don't so much as spend even one day in jail. And in fact, usually they end up receiving ACDs, acquittals contemplating dismissal. I mean, they don't do any hard jail time. They have to remain on good behavior for a period of time. And if they do that, then their charges are just dismissed. So where is the justice in any of this? I've said it from day one. If people were able to get away with burning courthouses, police stations, robbing stores, burning down Target, Walmart, shutting down entire cities, creating no-go zones, banning the police from even coming in, why is it that normal everyday Americans who went to D.C. on January 6th to protest the results of an election let their voices be heard? If they would have just given them the opportunity to speak and let their voices be heard and give them the coverage, maybe, why didn't the media just go there and give them a platform to speak to the rest of the world or to speak to the country? That would have mitigated any of what you had seen on that day. I mean, think about it. If there was just a simple stage set up and the media put microphones up there for people to speak to the world about why they were there that day, they would have never even gone into the Capitol building. But instead, you put tens of thousands of people out there in the cold. Don't let their voice be heard. Don't give them a platform to speak. Don't hear their side on a day where their point of view is extremely, extremely important. And you're going to get the results that you got. And then when the truth comes out and video footage is released, such as was on Tucker Carlson, nobody goes back and readdresses it. No, these people still sit in jail. Viking Man, I mean, he was let go immediately after the release of those videos. What does that tell you? There's definitely more to the story than what we've been told by all sides. Point is, when pardons are being issued by President Biden for his son, which, by the way, I'm not against that. I'm really not. As a father, if you're the president and you have an opportunity to help your son who is an addict, why would you not take advantage of that opportunity? Especially when you're on your way out of the presidency, you're as old as you are, you've lost all public support. Just go ahead and do what's right for your family and what's right for you. But come right out and say that's what you're doing. Don't own it. Own it. Actually, just own what you're about to do. And people would respect that. I mean, had Biden just come out and said, listen, I know I had said previously I wouldn't give my son a pardon, but, I don't want to leave my son out there in the political landscape the way it is today and leave him to be a subject of the upcoming administration who might go after him 10 times harder than they normally would. Even though that's a result of his Department of Justice's actions against the former president, he could have just simply said that and said, my son's an addict. He's doing much better now. I'm proud of him. And I believe he deserves a clean slate and a new opportunity in life. And that's why I'm issuing the pardon. Had he just done that, I think a lot more Americans would have been able to swallow that pill. But instead, you say all the way up until the day of the pardons, no, we're not going to do it, we're not going to do it, we're not going to do it. And then all of a sudden, boom, issues the pardon and covers such a span of time that nobody is going to believe anything that they hear as it relates to pardons from here going forward for the rest of this administration. I can't wait to see what other pardons come out. What is it? President Trump issued 250 pardons, give or take. President Obama issued 1,900 or so, give or take. And yeah, some of them were categorical. Anybody convicted of this crime, we're going to pardon them. But this one was kind of odd in the fact that 11 years of history, no matter what, you cannot prosecute him. It's, it's a little sus. I'll say that. I'll say it's sus at the very least. And hopefully there won't be a slew of pardons coming out as it relates to that entire criminal enterprise. That's my personal thought. That doesn't mean anything other than pure speculation. Anyhow, so Trump's move, whether you agree with it or not, is a bold statement and stand against what many see as a politicized Department of Justice. And for better or worse, it's shaking up the conversation in ways we haven't seen in decades. So there you have it, folks. Pardons on the horizon, meltdowns in the media, and a justice system that's finally being called to account. Love him or hate him, Trump knows how to keep things, well, let's just say, interesting. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more kick-ass politics. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next one. Until then, stay sharp, stay informed, and as always, stay kick-ass.